got to talk about Smackdown, apparently. Um, Not a big fan of the show, but I did love the main event. I think the main event was great. Not so much about the rest of the show. I mean, the matches weren't too bad, but it still feels like there's nothing happening on the product. So clearly we just got to go through it. So there's no news and notes really, outside of Triple H posted himself doing, I guess it was Tama Tonga's entrance. I'm like, why does that have to be in the center of every damn thing? Can't he leave some for other people? Even Vince wasn't like, Vince had his voiceover. You know, he'd do the voiceovers for WrestleMania and SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble, and he was on commentary. But even he didn't have like all this kind of stuff. Even he wasn't this crazy. You know, Triple H is in the middle of every goddamn thing at this point, man. Like, sheesh. Let somebody else get some credit for something. Jeez. Even Tama Tonga can't even get credit for his own entrance. Have mercy, Jesus. Let's move on. Rey Mysterio starts the show. He puts himself into the Royal Rumble. He says he's going to win it. Not likely. Kevin Owens interferes. He interrupts because there's always interruptions and promos in WWE. Everybody has a promo, and everybody's promo must be interrupted. I'm tired of Kevin Owens. Everybody knows this. I don't like Kevin Owens. Everybody knows this. But I'm going to point out one of the reasons why I don't like Kevin Owens. He comes out wearing a shirt. The shirt says, "The Canadian Dream, son of a security systems technician." It's one of those, he thinks he's funny, gimmick things, right? Where it's supposed to mock Dusty Rhodes, you know, the son of a plumber. So he has to tell everybody what his dad did. And it's like, I'm tired of Kevin Owens' gimmick being he changes his t-shirts. I'm tired of this, right? There's nothing interesting about this guy. I'm tired of Kevin Owens' gimmick being he's easily offended and he gets all manicky and starts shouting. I'm tired of this. It started out in this thing with him saying he hopes Rey Mysterio wins and chooses him as the person to wrestle at WrestleMania. Rey Mysterio says, "Well, you're not the champion." And then he starts getting manicky. Like Kevin Owens, "What do you mean? What do you mean I'm the champion? I got the belt. Look at the belt. I got the belt. I'm the champion." And they were like, oh my God. So then Rey Mysterio calls him delusional and they fight. And the fight is broken up eventually. Oh my God. Then later on, we get this whole thing with Nick Aldis. He's got an addendum to the Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens situation, but neither one of them will sign the contract. But in any event, Rey Mysterio is going to fight Kevin Owens. The match was okay. Kevin Owens still does too much flying from the top rope. He did like a frog splash and a senton. Look, these are regular parts of his offense now. But you would think at his age, and the fact that he doesn't need to do that stuff, that he wouldn't do that stuff. It also causes him to get positive crowd reactions because he's like 300 pounds and jumping off the top rope. So, but Ray, he's 50 and he still moves well. I think I don't want to lie to myself and like he moves just as good as he did in the past. No, he doesn't. He's got a bit of a belly, but he's 50. You know, Ray moves better than most 50-year-olds. You know, most 50-year-olds wish they had Rey Mysterio knees. But Rey Mysterio wishes he had Rey Mysterio's knees too, because this is all stem cells. You know, like he's burning through these joints like Wolverine at this point. Like Rey Mysterio, oh boy, he's a mutant at this. At least he's not doing steroids, but Jesus, the stem cells, like my goodness. Anyway, the match was okay. Ray obviously loses to the pop-up powerbomb. After the match, Kevin Owens, of course, feigns that he has all this respect for Ray. He bows to him, shakes his hand, and then he tries to give him a package pile driver. Cody comes out there. They fight a little bit. Then Kevin Owens demands that both of them sign this addendum next week, and it's going to be moderated by Shawn Michaels because it's going to be in Saturday night's main event. So they're going to have a segment on Saturday night's main event that will feature just a contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. And I don't care about this. This is boring. This is a boring feud. I can't believe people have been running around telling me how great this is. Like, people thought like the ninth Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns match was boring. This is only the second or third match between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, and I'm already tired of it. I'm sick of this feud. I want this feud to end. I want it to die. I want Kevin Owens to go away. He needs to go away. And this replica title that he's got that's absolutely falling apart in his hands is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. You know, look, all these indie weirdos who are obsessed with people like Kevin Owens, you need to let it go. Let it go. He's cooked. It's over. Triple H too. Let it go. He's cooked. So, moving on. Naomi and Bianca Belair. Bianca apologized for hair whipping Naomi last week. Said it wasn't her fault. It was, Candice LeRae pulling on her hair. Naomi definitely suggests that she tie her up. So Bianca ties up her hair, which of course immediately comes loose as soon as she gets into a tag team match. And then we're stuck with Bianca and Naomi versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. It feels like they have been wrestling Nia Jax all year long. And we're 17 days into the year. And it feels like this has been going on forever. I mean, this is ridiculous. Of course, there's miscommunications between Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, which leads to Candice LeRae being pinned by Naomi. I don't care. Meanwhile, on social media, Jade Cargill is responding to things that are said on television. She's tweeting. So I'm guessing that they're starting to finally tease up that something's going to happen here. But it's been over 2 months, and they still have no leads whatsoever on the Jade Cargill attack, which just goes to show that they're not paying attention. They don't care. It's the same thing with the Street Profits. They mentioned the Street Profits on this show. I haven't seen them in forever. I forgot that the whole reason they were gone is because they were selling an attack. They don't talk about it. What is the... Let's move on very quickly. This Naomi thing, it seemed like they're going to slowly but surely turn her heel. So I'm guessing this would be a good reason for the Meta Girls to win, is if Naomi turns on Bianca. That would kind of explain it all, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure Naomi can pull off heel at this point. I'm interested in it, but I'm not sure she got the chops to pull it off. But Bianca's got to get out of this tag team, man. Like, this is just bad. I'm tired of this tag team shit. She's not even really featured in this tag team division. She's the champion, and she's still not featured. Because all they do is backstage segments. She doesn't do shit in the ring. Like, I can't believe somebody had to bring it to my attention that she was in a fatal 4-way for the number one contendership last week. She was the only one that didn't talk. She was the only one that didn't talk. That's crazy. We're going to move on. They had another backstage segment. This time it was Mia Yim and B-Fab talking about the Women's United States title. Piper Niven is still being Secret Service. She came out there. She came into the locker room, rather, and said there was no threats detected to Chelsea Green, so she can come in. B-Fab then threatened Piper Niven, ended up having a match with her, and she lost. I didn't see this match. I'm going to be fair. I went to the bathroom and the match was over, and I didn't bother to go back and watch it because, I was surprised Piper Niven even won. I thought maybe she'd lose so that we could build up a new challenger, but no, I caught the very end of the match. And what I mean by the very end, I mean the whole match was over. But I saw B-Fab getting beat up, and then I saw Mia Yim come out with a kendo stick, and I was like, okay, so this thing is continuing. More stories that just go on forever, and there's no end to it. But unfortunately, I did not watch the match, and blame my bladder. I had to pee. Sorry. And it says a lot that I went to the bathroom pissed and missed the whole thing. Next, we had Jimmy Uso versus Carmelo Hayes. Jimmy gaining a little bit of weight, but this match was actually pretty solid. Carmelo Hayes before the match says that Jimmy Uso is in the shadow of Jay, who's in the shadow of Roman. And then he called him Unk, which I'm pretty sure made Jimmy laugh because he's silly. They didn't have no finish to this match. It was thrown out because Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu attacked Jimmy Uso. So this feud is still not over. They're still feuding. Good Lord. What does it take? Does somebody have to die? Like, what does it have to take to end a feud in the Triple H era? End this. Solo came out. He stood in the middle of the ring, absorbed all the boos and the heckling from the audience. Followed by no response. He was disgusted. He put down the mic and he left. Jacob Fatu took the opportunity to pick up the mic. Said he's tired of disrespect, tired of the hate, tired of the envy. Nobody can touch them. And he says, you thought I was crazy. You thought I was nuts. But the crazy thing is, I'm just getting started. So LA Knight then attacked them by himself. And he got beat up, of course. And then Braun Strowman came out of there. I was like, what's Braun Strowman doing out here? And then they had a Braun Strowman, Jacob Fatu stare down that was quite lit, if we being honest. Now this, I can rock with this. You know, they set this match up for Saturday night's main event, so they wanted to blow this thing off immediately. Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman, I'm all in. You know, Jacob Fatu is a monster, but he's shorter than Braun Strowman. Strowman's massive. I mean, he's just a huge man. So it's going to be really fun watching Jacob Fatu fight, you know, a guy who is much bigger than he is. This is going to be a fun match. The LA Knight element is going to be interesting. I think LA Knight is going to wrestle Tama Tonga next week on SmackDown. So that ought to be fine. This whole thing with Solo's bloodline, apparently they're going to keep them together. But they haven't thought of what's next for Solo. Because look, Roman hasn't appeared since Tribal Combat. He has said that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble. Well, Paul said it for him. But he has not made an appearance. And this is Solo's first appearance. And he had nothing to say. So we don't know if that element of that storyline is over, or if they're pivoting to something else. But there's nothing obvious going on here, and there's no breadcrumbs leading to anything either. It's just seemingly, okay, the dogs are off the leash. Jacob and Tama are doing their own thing. And in doing their own thing, essentially they're still feuding with the same people that Solo was feuding with. The only difference being is that LA Knight kind of started this feud with Tama and Jacob. But okay, at least we're going to get Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman out of this thing. Not a match that I was actually looking forward to or even expecting to talk about. But as a Hoss fight goes, let's do it. So we got two of them on that show. Got Sheamus and Braun Breaker. You know, we got Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. So we're going to have a decent Hoss-based product for Saturday night's main event next week. Ought to be fun. Ought to be interesting. But it's very unfortunate that that we're not getting any real storyline development here for the bloodline on either side. And now Jimmy's wrestling in a jersey. You know, so he the very definition of washed, right? But at least his match wasn't bad. Santos Escobar, clean shaven Santos Escobar, by the way, gives a pep talk to Los Garza, said for them to go out there and take respect for the Motor City Machine Guns. And did you think that they did that? No, they lost. The match was fine. It was actually better than it probably should have been. Pretty Deadly made an appearance, but they didn't stop Motor City Machine Guns from winning. DIY called Pretty Deadly pathetic and a joke. Well, Ciampa did. And Johnny Gargano said that it was just tough love. And then they set up, I guess, next week for a number one contenders match where it would be Pretty Deadly versus Motor City Machine Guns, which doesn't make sense because I believe Los Garza won their last match. Or, wait a minute, did Pretty Deadly even win a match lately? I don't think they even won a match lately. whatever. Does this matter? No. I'm just going to skip over it. It don't matter. I'm not trying to put my brain through too much here. You know, it's all very unfortunate. It's sorry as hell. It sucks. There was some interesting bits. Now, here's to the good parts of SmackDown. There was a Charlotte Flair vignette indicating that she will be returning soon, which is good because this women's division most desperately needs it. What they need is a new booker, basically. But having some star power in the women's division could really, really help. Charlotte coming back, a lot of people are not happy because, you know, they know that means Charlotte is going to be pushed as one of the top girls, as she should. And the video played right before the main event, which was Tiffany Stratton versus Bayley for the women's title. One of the women's belts. I don't know what this one is called. I think this is the WWE women's title. So Charlotte's going to be back, and hopefully she makes her appearance at the Royal Rumble, or maybe she comes back beforehand. But I'm definitely expecting Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton to be the match at WrestleMania. Now, does this mean Charlotte should win the Royal Rumble? Absolutely not. I would not be a fan of Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble. But I do believe we need Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte as the match at WrestleMania. There's been a lot of discussion about, you know, Charlotte passing the torch and maybe Tiffany being the girl that gets that torch. And I definitely think so. They're very alike in a way. And I likened it in my own mind to when Buddy Rogers wrestled Ric Flair. You know, the Battle of the Nature Boys. You know, the real Battle of the Nature Boys. I know that they had another one with Buddy Landel, but I don't count that. And look, I'm like one of those people that don't really care about Buddy Landel, so sorry. If you're one of those old school Southern pro wrestling guys who loves Buddy Landel, good on you. But for me, nah. He's only been a jabroni for me. But the real Battle of the Nature Boys was Buddy Rogers versus Ric Flair. And I'm thinking this could be similar, you know, where, you know, Charlotte has to play the Buddy Rogers role. She's older. She's, you know, I don't want to say busted, but, you know, she's been out with tons of injuries in the last couple of years. She might not be what she used to be. And Tiffany Stratton's a new model, you know. She's got all of the original parts plus some enhancements, you know. She's got her same face as far as I can tell. And I know it's a kind of a, I hate to use this term because it's always very dorky, but it's kind of a dream match for Tiffany as well, you know. Charlotte is the reason why she became a female wrestler, you know. And to give her that match immediately might be a little much, but I think that there is no better setup. And I think this should be, and for those of you who are maybe you say, Mongo, what are you talking about when it comes to Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers? Let's put it in a more modern context. This could be Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. All right. That's what this could be. It could be Tiffany Stratton modeled a lot of what she had done off Charlotte. And she's going to take what Charlotte has done and take it to the next level. So you have that storyline built in, except Charlotte's not nearly as old as Rick was when Shawn basically took the mantle. I mean, Ric Flair was in his 40s before Shawn was even a singles act. All right. You know, so, you know, he was in the Rockers through most of that time. I'm talking about after being a jabroni, of course. But by the time Shawn Michaels was like the showstopper, the main event, he had been in, you know, main events for 20 some odd years at that point before he took the torch from Ric Flair, and then, you know. But generally it's the same thing. I don't expect Charlotte to be anywhere near the end of her career, but I do expect that Tiffany Stratton is going to be the one to carry what Charlotte is doing into the future. Does this mean that we should have Charlotte beat Tiffany Stratton for the title? I don't think you want to give it to her so easily. And I think that's really what the concern is. Look, Tiffany Stratton she's a freak of nature. You know, she looks good. Her work is great. She knows how to be aggressive. She can sell. She can talk. The only problem is kind of the talking is kind of stilted. That's like the only weakness in her game. She's incredibly athletic. She can sell. She gets wrestling. The only problem here is she's super young. So do you give her her dream match and she wins it in her first WrestleMania appearance? And then, like, where is there to go but down at that point, right? So do you have her carry the belt to WrestleMania? She loses it to Charlotte. And now she still has that mountain to climb where she won the title, but she was never able to overcome her idol. You could do that, and that would be sensible. But of course, that would piss everybody off because then Charlotte wins. And everybody's like, oh no, Charlotte's a 15-time champion. Oh, that sucks. I get that. But ultimately, I think for Tiffany's growth, it might be better if she loses. Similar to when Rhea Ripley lost to Charlotte. It was probably better for her growth that she lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania 36 when she defended the NXT belt. It was probably better for her to lose than it was for her to win. If she'd have won, then there's nowhere to go but down. And to be quite honest, that was a difficult situation that they put themselves in with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Because Rhea definitely could have won, and it would have been fine. But she lost, and then, her confidence got shattered, which is kind of unfortunate, because considering she was like 24 at the time. Like, your career is not over at 24 just because you lost at WrestleMania. It's not that big a deal. Which is what I'm saying here. Like, Tiffany Stratton getting in this huge match with Charlotte and losing at this age is not a big problem. If it was 15 years into her career, then maybe. Then she most definitely should win. But she's only a year and a half in on the main roster. She doesn't need to beat Charlotte right now. But she did beat Bayley. So she defeated Bayley clean in the middle of the ring with the prettiest moonsault ever. One of Tiffany Stratton's better matches. Probably her best match since she's been on the main roster. Outside of maybe, I think she had some touch-ups with Bianca Belair. That were pretty good. But this was definitely one of the better Smackdown women's matches of the last year and a half. Bayley worked really hard. I know that Bayley has kind of been responsible for Tiffany Stratton. They've been working a lot on house shows. So they have the chemistry together. So everything worked out fine here. So the match was great. This is Bayley's position as far as I'm concerned. She's a good contender. She cut a promo earlier about, having her title run cut short, how she didn't feel like she fulfilled her full potential as the women's champion last year, and that was because of Tiffany Stratton and constantly helping Nia Jax, even though that was stupid. She should have, beat Bayley for the belt herself, but whatever. In any event, the match was very solid. Very solid main event. Normally, you do want the heels to cheat, but this is Bayley we're talking about here. She's bulletproof. You don't need to overly protect Bayley. So Bayley loses. That's fine. Nia Jax, of course, not being anywhere to be found in this story, even though her feud with Tiffany is supposedly not over. It barely even started, if we're being honest, but she was nowhere to be found in this entire situation, and she hasn't talked about it much. I think she might have had maybe 2 promos about it, but you would think that she should still be mad that Tiffany Stratton took the title from her via Money in the Bank shenanigans, and she should want a rematch in a serious, real match. At least you would think so, but immediately they started putting her in tag teams with Candice LeRae, so who knows? And I'm not clamoring for Nia Jax to get a singles match either, so I don't care, but just saying, it's a little odd. So Bayley and Tiffany Stratton had as good a match as you can have in the main event. Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio was a pretty good match too, and so was Jimmy versus Carmelo Hayes. So in the ring, solid night. In terms of angles and personalities and stuff like this, a very, very weak night. As has been for several weeks. It's not been good because nothing has been happening. These shows have been incredibly empty and filled with really long matches that really don't go anywhere or have any implications for anybody. So it's unfortunate. And then, of course, no mention of the United States title again. So Nakamura's got the belt, and it doesn't mean anything. So no Andrade, no Street Profits, just Everybody's been giving Triple H grief over the way he treats Dragon Lee, so I don't need to go into that. Plus, that's more Raw business. It's looking like Rey Mysterio might get moved to SmackDown, which is fine with me. But who cares, really? Does that really matter to anybody? No. Who is on what brand doesn't really matter. I just cannot wait for this Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes match, and it's not a good type of anticipation where, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens. It's the kind of anticipation where I'm like, I just want to see what are they going to do when this is over, and they won't let it be over. They just keep generic brawling and arguing, and it's so stupid. I hate it so much. We need new talent in the main event scene. No more of these guys, man. But let me know what you guys thought of SmackDown. I thought it was a good in-ring show. Kind of mid overall, though. Peace out.